a lot of garbage over there. Do you need any help?
No, I got it. I'm fine. They'll figure it out.
Well, I'm not sure they will. You see, an automated truck comes and picks up the garbage cans and takes the refuse to the landfill. Then a separate truck comes and picks up these large bulk items such as the carpet and lumber. And then another truck comes and picks up the recycling and takes it to the recycling center. If you're not organized, they can't pick them up.
What? That's ridiculous. It's all garbage. It ends up in the same place. Why does it have to be so complicated?
Well, it's not really that complicated. There's just a few simple rules to help you stay better organized and help see that stuff goes where it's supposed to go. For instance, these bags on top of the can, if you've got things that won't fit into your can, you can still bag them up and put them on the curb lawn for the bulk truck to pick up. Just make sure you leave enough space between the cans so that the automated truck can pick it up.
I guess it's not that complicated. Plus, it won't be all over my yard from the wind.
Yeah. Next, that carpet does not belong in the recycling bin. It's not recyclable.
What? Are you sure? It looks recyclable.
Think of it this way. Things that are recyclable can be reused, such as cans and bottles that could be melted down and used again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, that carpet is just nothing but rotten fabric and bad glue. Would you reuse it?
No, my husband and my dog made sure of that. He's a sloppy eater.
Which one?
Exactly.
Anyway, that carpet, that should be cut and tied into manageable 4-foot bundles, like that lumber too. And then just simply set it on the curb lawn for the bulk truck to pick up. Look, if you have any questions, just call the sanitation department and ask them, or go to the City of Elyria website.
What are you doing? That doesn't go in there.
It does. Who are you? William Rittenhouse?
Who?
He created the first recycling center in the 17th century. I thought you would know that since you're the world's authority now, foremost on recycling, apparently.
And who are you, Baron von Schwartenmouth? FYI, he created, shut up. See this? It's shiny. You can't recycle shiny things.
It's funny. This brochure from the city that's shiny and recyclable says you can't.
Well, Smarty Pants, what's your brochure say about recycling half a lasagna? Just because your food tastes like cardboard doesn't mean it's cardboard.
It's in a cardboard container.
So, empty the food, recycle the container. And look at these. Half of these water bottles are still half full. You're supposed to take the tops off, empty it out, and then recycle them.
While the lasagna's in a cardboard container and there are beer bottles in there, I don't see them half full. You make sure they're completely empty before you get rid of them.
Well, that's a baby food jar. What have you been feeding the baby?
Baby food. Baby food. Those are recyclable?
What's your brochure say? Let's see. Oh, it says glass bottles and jars, plastic food and beverage containers, number 1 through 7, are all recyclable. So I guess that covers pretty much everything you could put food in.
Huh, well, I see one problem.
What?
In here. They're all shiny. That blows away your super scientific shininess principle you have.
You got me. But I'll tell you what, I'm smart enough to know this lasagna is still edible.
Thank you so much for coming out today on this cold winter day. I'm thrilled to see so many of you interested in the city of Elyria. And this day wouldn't be made possible without our friends at the Lorain County Chamber of Commerce, Elyria Rotary, and many others of you from county and other governments who have joined us today. So again, thank you so very much. I have a couple of special visitors here today that I'd like to introduce you to. In addition to my senior staff and department heads in the city, which you'll meet in a minute, I do have my husband, Greg, here. Greg you couldn't do this job without a fantastic partner like my husband, who is my 100% moral support. And he often jokes he gets paid to make a living by telling people where to go, and he says he can only have my job for about a week until his recall election. My mother is here today, and I'm so thrilled to have her. Mom, could you stand up for a minute? You can sit down, but in a minute. Just want to tell you a little bit about my mom. She's a very special lady, and she doesn't know I was going to do this today, but that's just too bad. She's a 1946 graduate of Elyria High School, and she's seen a lot with Elyria. There's her great-grandmother, her grandparents, my parents, myself and my children have all been an important part of this community. She's seen a lot. You're looking at the former receptionist at General Industries. And she jokes when I'm involved in my environmental phase 2 assessment right now, I didn't need to waste the taxpayers' money. She could tell me where everything was. No, she's a great lady. And so, sometimes it takes a real thick skin to be mayor, but it also takes a thick skin to be the mayor's mom. So again, would you please give my mother a round of applause? Today, we're going to talk with you a little bit about maintaining momentum for change, but we couldn't do that without the fantastic support of my staff here. If you're an employee of the City of Elyria, and I want to make sure that I don't forget anybody, would you please stand up? We're going to start over here with my senior staff, Safety Service Director Sawurka. Would you please just introduce yourself and explain what you do for the City of Elyria, starting with Director Sawurka.
Mary Sawurka, and I handle all the problems.
I'm Richard Benton, I'm the Fire Chief.
Captain Phil Hammonds, I'm in charge of a services division of the Elyria Police Department.
Dwayne Whiteley, I'm the Police Chief.
Andy Eichenlaub, I'm the Patrol Commander for the Elyria Police Department.
Chris Costantino, I'm in charge of the Investigative Division and the Public Information Officer.
Gary Dickerson, Senior Manager, Human Resources.
LaTanya Conley, EEO Officer in Human Resources.
I'm Richard Jackson, I'm Assistant Safety Service Director for Risk Management and Human Resources.
Gary Reese, Assistant to the Mayor.
Tim Uvari, City Engineer.
James Graham, Economic Development.
Ted Pileski, Elected Finance Director. I handle all the money.
Thank you so much. And I'd like to thank Lorain Mayor Rittenauer for joining us today as well. He's a great partner with the City of Elyria. We've also got some other elected officials here in the room. If you could just stand quickly. I know three of our county commissioners are here. We've got our mayor, Mayor Hunter from Sheffield, and Judge Bennett. Absolutely. So thank you again, Eric Rothgary. Thank you so much for coming. We want to talk to you about momentum. And, when I gave my first State of the City 4 years ago now, we talked about change and trying to keep the momentum going. And, we've made some real progress. There have been a few stumbles, but I want to talk about those things and how we are really moving forward. I love this picture. Momentum, you can't just stand there if you want something to fly, you have to run. And I will tell you, we are doing a lot of running right now with your help. One of the things that we talk about as a staff is, what does it take to keep things going even when things are hard? And we know it's unwavering incremental change. We know change is a result of a series of successful endings, not beginnings. It's not distracted by a bump in the road. It requires next steps, and it cools when you stop moving forward. And I'm here to tell you that despite a few setbacks, Elyria does have momentum and is moving forward today. These were the goals that you saw 4 years ago: restoring fiscal stability and improving service, becoming more economically vital and improving our image, improving our infrastructure, making Elyria safer, strengthening our neighborhoods, and improving our quality of life. And from these goals, we have not wavered. But we have had some challenges for sure. And I want to talk to you today a little bit about how, even with these challenges, we've managed to push through them. We knew 4 years ago that we were going to be dealing with the repeal of the Ohio estate tax and a decline in the local government fund. And we started taking some steps in the city of Elyria when we first got on board to address those through the voluntary performance audit with the state of Ohio. We knew that there was going to be expiration of federal stimulus funds that was funding both police and fire personnel. We had a charter amendment a few years ago that limits income tax stream to people who live and work here. And just if some of you haven't recalled lately, the city of Elyria has not passed an additional income tax since 1992, or 23 years. There have been 8 attempts by 3 administrations. So I'd just like you to think about for a moment, how you've been able to operate your household, what it would be like if you hadn't seen any additional income stream in 23 years. Failure of issue 14, which was in November, it was a temporary 0.25%, 4.5-year income tax increase to maintain and strengthen safety forces, has led to a loss of 53 positions and no money for capital. Those are the challenges, but there are opportunities as well. As I said, we initiated a voluntary performance audit with the state of Ohio, and so far that savings has generated over $2.3 million worth of savings. And I will show you that in detail in a moment. It has helped offset that loss of $4.5 million, but not completely. There's lots of internal efficiency measures that are yielding additional cost savings and better customer service. We did manage to renew a temporary income tax in place for 30 years and secure $3 million annually of our approximate 20% of our general fund last year. And 5 of our 6 unions agreed to reduce longevity for new hires and increase contributions to health care, creating long-term savings. So those are positive steps forward. These are some of the things that we've been able to do differently to generate some efficiencies in the city. And I'm not going to go through each one of these, but you can look through this list and see it's a variety of things. That $2.3 million of savings since 2012. We've joined energy cooperatives. That's led to tremendous savings. We've rebid medical and life insurance contracts. We've gone after prescription rebates, increasing employee contributions, and we've been auditing personnel on those plans to make sure they belong on those plans. We've been very careful about rebidding other contracts. We've seen quite a bit of annual workers' compensation savings because we are more carefully training and putting safety measures in place for our employees. We've experimented with some things. We have experimented with a condensed work week, which is, for example, it's saved 520 hours in our central maintenance garage and saved money. We've been able to reduce personnel through attrition, and we've been able to control sick leave costs better. So those are some of the things. Some future savings. Again, longevity for employees in 5 of our 6 unions. Those are all the unions the city negotiates for. The only union we don't negotiate for is the health district. But all of the unions that the city does negotiate for, AFSCME, EPPA, FOP, dispatchers, FOP supervisors, and the fire department have all reduced longevity for new city hires for a savings between $8,000 and $11,000 per employee. So it's a step in the right direction. We are automating all of our city departments on a common New World software platform. Prior to a few years ago, there were actually 13 software platforms in the city of Elyria, and that didn't make for a very efficient operation. This has allowed us to eliminate paper storage and improves communications and service time across our departments. And then again, we have continued savings in our workers' comp area. And just a good example is the automated sanitation trucks and the number of workers' comp claims that we've been able to reduce when we don't have people picking up trash physically. Those kinds of things. Some of our financial highlights: our income tax revenues are down. There's a slight increase in our bed tax revenues. We've seen an 88% decrease in estate tax revenues, and that will go down to 100% decrease shortly. Those are just the residual revenues coming in. And our finance director has been honored again by the state of Ohio. This is the history of additional income taxes in the city of Elyria, and you can see our last success for additional was 1992. This was a law enforcement issue. I actually worked on this with former Mayor Keyes and David Smith at the time, and I remember it well. This is issue 14. It would have grown our police force by 8 to 93 sworn officers. It would have kept 65 frontline firefighters. It would have funded capital needs for safety forces and emergency road and bridge repairs and other crime and safety prevention measures. After issue 14, we had to take steps necessary to keep Elyria safe. We had to make some very difficult decisions, but one of the first decisions I made was we weren't going to cut our police department. No sworn officer reductions were made, and we continue to try to backfill and recruit officers to get up to our sworn officer funded position of 85. And we wanted to maintain the narcotics unit to address drug and related issues. One of the things that happened a few years ago during the reductions was the narcotics unit was eliminated in the city of Elyria. We brought that unit back 2 years ago, and thank goodness we did, because we've been playing catch up ever since. And when we get to the police department, I'm going to ask some of our visitors here who work in the narcotics unit to make some comments about that. But this is a very important issue, not only for Elyria, but our region, and we just couldn't see reducing. So we had to make some sacrifices in some other areas. We did reduce the fire department by 12. There are 11 full-time and 1 part-time positions being reduced, and they include 10 sworn officers and 2 civilians by December 2015. And we've been able to do this through attrition largely. We wanted to think that issue 14 was going to pass, but we knew the history, and we started taking steps earlier in the year, in late 2013 and early 2014. So as positions became up through retirements and some other circumstances, we held them open, and we did not fill them. This helps us in a number of ways because we didn't have to lay people off and pay unemployment. But we did make a decision not to fill those positions permanently, and as a result, there'll be some other steps I'll talk about too, but this was done by not backfilling 7 frontline firefighter positions resulting from attrition, held open since the end of 2013, no backfill of frontline firefighter positions by retirements in 2015, and the layoff of a civilian secretary and part-time mechanic. We think that maintaining 60 frontline firefighters is important to our community. This was the baseline number outlined in our state performance audit, and it does allow us to keep 3 fire stations open most of the time. And I say most of the time because there will be some moments of closure, but it's important. There are some parts of the city that have actually grown since some previous studies, including that Chestnut Commons area. We monitor that response time, and this is as low as we feel that we can go right now given current circumstances. And we've had to reduce about $1.8 million in the budget through personnel reductions. That's amounted to about 53 positions across the city. This is what this looks like. Our contracts require us to reduce part-time personnel first, so we started with part-time seasonal and part-time year-round employees. And you can see those are large parts of the pie. In terms of full-time employees, the largest reduction, again, is the fire department. And you can see the impact on some of the other departments. This is a snapshot of initial reductions taken to reduce the general fund by $1.8 million. And it really demonstrates what the workforce looks like at this given moment. We did take steps to make the reductions early this year rather than after the budget was passed, because had we waited for the end of the first quarter of this year, the budget reductions would have had to have been much deeper in the city of Elyria. We wanted to start saving that revenue earlier than later. And with that caveat being said, when City Council passes its final budget by April 1st, there could be some adjustments to this because they do have the final say on the budget. This is that same pie in terms of what it will look like at the end of the year. And the main difference is an increase in the reductions in the fire department. This was made possible through cooperative efforts in negotiating with our fire department. And I have to say that all of our employee groups, all of our department heads, this has been a very difficult time in the city of Elyria over the last few months, looking at these reductions. And I can't say enough about the professionalism of every single one of our department heads in the city of Elyria. They understood the necessity of what we had to do, and while nobody liked doing it, and personal relationships are very important, they helped us do what needed to be done, and I'm just very grateful for their cooperation. This is a snapshot of our general fund breakdown for 2014. You can see income tax makes up 69% of our budget, followed by local government funding, which again has declined through the state, property tax, other non-revenue. What's all this mean? Well, what it means is that there's little money to address the $4.3 million of general fund capital improvement needs to replace aging equipment, technology, vehicles, and building needs in the city. And it is going to be hard to maintain buildings and grounds. But we're not deterred. I'm here to tell you that the city of Elyria will work with what we have. That is what we said we were going to do from the very beginning, and we will continue to do it. And what I want to spend the rest of the time talking about is things that we think that we can do differently to continue the momentum for positive change. Yes, there have been some roadblocks in the way, but we are not deterred. One of the first things we did was, for the first time in the city's history, we do have our first economic development plan. This plan was built basically to improve the climate for business retention, attraction, and expansion. It's viewable on the city's website. If you go to cityofelyria.org and click on Community Development under Economic Development, you will see a copy of that plan, which continues to improve and evolve as we go. But there are very specific strategies in there. And I recall the conversation when I was presenting this to council. One of my statements was, it's not the city's job to create jobs, it's the city of Elyria's job to create an atmosphere for business to create jobs. And I want you to remember that, because there are a few naysayers out there who say, I don't think it's the city's job to create jobs. That's not what I said. What I said was, during this presentation, that it's our job to create a climate for business to create jobs. We're not going to grow government to create jobs. But we do have a responsibility to create a better climate to create jobs, and these are some of the steps, and I'm not going to go through all of them today, but the plan outlines all of these areas. We are looking at infrastructure improvements, to help our existing businesses, leveraging our physical assets, expanding and marketing some new economic development tools that the city has, partnering with our ED organizations. And the one thing I will say is that a significant difference is, in the past, we've had some strategies, but they haven't necessarily been grounded in data. We are making decisions based on data. We got a $93,000 federal grant to conduct a market analysis in our business districts. That initial work has been completed, and we've had, you'll see in one of the upcoming slides here, the participation in that. But we are making decisions differently, and we want to identify the niche that Elyria has an opportunity to not only raise the bar, but we want our expectations to be realistic. We now also have a new Elyria Community Improvement Corporation. This is a new strategy that we found necessary. It's a 501c3 created in 2014, and it largely allows the city to acquire and control properties that it wants to redevelop for job creation and community revitalization. It is a quasi-governmental organization provided for by the state legislature, and we've never had that tool to work with before. It's starting to have some success. We acquired our first property last month, or actually in late 2014. The old Mountain Jacks property was donated to the city of Elyria, and that property will be redeveloped. So it's gotten rid of an eyesore, and it gives us an opportunity to begin to make some very positive steps forward. Another pending project for our Community Improvement Corporation is going to be the General Industries property and some of our downtown revitalization property. As I said, we did leverage a $93,000 grant to do a market analysis, and have hired some of the top market analysts in the country out of Street Sense of Bethesda, Maryland. They've been in Elyria and the county and the surrounding areas. And the final results of that market analysis will be announced in March of this year. We just had a second session. The first session was an overview by both of the consultants we commissioned. One was from Cleveland Urban Design Initiative out of Kent State University, and Street Sense out of Bethesda, Maryland. We've had about 188 individuals, they're Illyrians and other stakeholders, participate in these sessions. So they're offered the data that's being generated, and then we ask for your response. If you haven't had a chance to attend one of these sessions, there will be another one coming up with a community meeting date of mid-March. So I would urge you to look for that, because we do believe it's going to make a positive difference for our downtown Midway and Cleveland Street areas. And again, the intent behind that is to make decisions based on where we think our niche is in the region. We have some other things happening. We have a new business ambassadors program. We have had some individuals raise their hand and volunteer, and this is helping us do some business calls. Right now, myself and our economic development specialist are the two doing it, but we can't possibly cover everybody we need to cover. And what I'm finding is many individuals who are both retired and in other places who have held leadership roles in business are very adept at this, and we would love to leverage your talent. So if you're interested, please let us know. We have some new economic development websites on our webpage. On our website. There's a new Elyria magazine and community guide on your tables. If you'd like more, let me know. We have some new website videos too, and we're marketing the city, the schools, businesses, and business opportunities, and of course Channel 12. So we're doing what we can to get the word out about the city of Elyria. If you are an organization that would like to be part of that video program, and you can see what it looks like just by clicking on our website, visit it and let me know, and we'll put you in touch. We were able to do most of this at no cost to the city, by the way. The Elyria magazine was done at no cost to the city. It sold advertising and it was paid for. The videos were done by an organization called CGI that supports cities who participate in the National Mayor's Conference. So that was done at no cost to the city as well. So we're trying to leverage as many opportunities as we can. Again, we have made some strides here. You see here that we've presented business incentives to 7 companies, developed working relationships with 3 developers, and continue to work with the county to expand transportation options for the transit bus and passenger rail project. And I know we've got a few of our county commissioners here, but we have been working very closely with the county, and through their good work, they have been able to assemble over $8 million towards a $9 million project for the reinvigoration of our transportation center. And for any of you who doubt the value of transportation, there is definitely a direct correlation between job creation and transportation availability. These are some of the new businesses that you'll see in the community. The new Courtyard by Marriott Hotel begins construction in April of 2015 in the Midway area. This is a direct result of the reconfiguration, the $22 million reconfiguration project of Route 57 and the 49th Street Bridge. Lorain County Automotive Systems has located in Elyria with 150 new jobs. We have a new daycare, Jimmy John's, Papa John's. We have a German-owned company who is under a tax incentive review for the city of Elyria. And we also have some new retail building going on in the Chestnut Commons area and McDonald's on Broad Street. Some people have asked, what about McDonald's? McDonald's has acquired 4 properties on Broad Street. They do still plan on replacing the McDonald's on Broad Street, but they've pushed their timetable from this year till January of 2016 for a number of reasons. So those properties have been acquired, but it's taking them a little bit longer to do that than we had hoped. These are some of the additional building projects that are being advanced in our community. You see we've got a new Lorain County Health District building in the Wilkesville area. This is a wonderful investment in that Wilkesville area, over $500,000, and this will make clinical health care available more available to South Elyria. The college is in expansion mode. BASF and PNC Bank is relocating. Some of our business challenges. It's no secret, Bendix is in consideration right now for a possible expansion in Elyria or relocation. The city's done all it can. We've offered a very aggressive incentive package. It's pending, and we're keeping our fingers crossed and hoping for the best. A rebuild on other sites in Lorain County, according to their figures, would be in the $60 million range, and a rebuild on the current site was estimated between 25 and 30, and the City of Elyria's incentive package has reduced that cost to $13 million. So if money matters, we've done everything that we can to try to retain Bendix, and we hope that they will stay. General Industries, we did leverage $200,000 from the Clean Ohio Fund and conducted both Phase 1 and we're concluding Phase 2 environmental studies on this property right now. We are waiting for final findings on this property, but we do anticipate moving forward and ultimately having the property donated, cleaned up, and redeveloped by the City of Elyria. So we are not deterred by it, but these are necessary steps because the city cannot accept a property without understanding the full liability of the acceptance of that property and having a cleanup and redevelopment plan associated with it. Downtown Elyria, our Art Depot project is transitioning. You may have read about that in the paper. I consider it a success. Lorain Arts Council was kind enough to help our artists organize in downtown. One of our property owners was kind enough to donate the property. And there were some individuals helping to pay for rent, including, by the way, it wasn't the city paying for rent, it was me personally paying for rent. There was some misunderstanding there. So the City of Elyria has not put a dime into this project, but we certainly want to do everything we can to encourage artists. And I'm happy to say that while it will not continue under the current agreement, there is a new agreement being crafted, and you can expect to see the arts continue in downtown Elyria. It's just going through a slight reorganization right now. Street improvements. There's a lot going on in terms of street improvements. You may not know this, but we maintain a lot of 409 miles of highway, 187 miles of roads, 518 streets and 151 cul-de-sacs. Our engineering department has been very progressive in terms of instituting some new practices. We have a new matrix rating system that allows us to assess and inventory subsurface infrastructure before we do paving. So you're not seeing us dig up street or pave them and then have to go back and dig them up because there's something wrong with the infrastructure underneath the streets. We are doing a very thorough subsurface infrastructure assessment on all of our streets. And we've been able to bring some work inside that was being done by outside contractors that have actually saved us quite a bit of money here. We've been able to save about $90,000 by having our street engineering and water departments do, for example, water main roadway repairs. This is a major project that you've all seen. It's stopped right now during this very cold weather, but our reconfiguration of Route 57 and the 49th Street Bridge, a $22 million project. It was slated to be completed 11 years out, and with a lot of collaborative work across, a bipartisan effort, I will have to say, we were able to move this project up. The first year of the project is now complete. It will go on for another 1.5 years. But it will improve a high crash area. Actually, this is one of the highest crash areas in the state of Ohio. It will improve access to the mall and open up about 140 acres for development. And that opening up of 140 acres for development, we're already seeing some progress. Again, there was an incentive for the Courtyard by Marriott. And we are working with another developer right now on an additional project. So the Midway area seems to be bubbling up kind of on its own. We have been trying to focus some of our resources in the downtown area. You will see the total renovation of Middle Avenue through us being able to bring in some outside funding. It's a $3.6 million project to improve Middle Avenue. It was bid last year and it'll start this spring. But you'll see pavement repairs, new asphalt, new curbs, a raised boulevard, new traffic signals, stamped concrete sidewalks, bike lanes, and new street lighting. So it's going to be a real improvement for leading into our gateway of our city from that stadium area all the way down to Broad Street. A lot of this kind of work is not real fun to talk about, and you may see it, but you don't really pay attention to it. But believe me, it's very important. We've been sealing cracks and joints all summer, concrete and asphalt repairs on a number of our streets. You can see where they are there. Pavement repairs and signalization improvements, especially in that Chestnut Commons area. And that's a significant, obviously, it's over $500,000 of investment. There's about $6 million of sanitary sewer improvements going on in our city right now. Now the new technology allows us to line sewers rather than replace them, so you'll see some of that happening. And if you see a truck with a liner in it, that's probably what's happening. But we've been able to reline 3,500 feet of sewers, 59 manholes, 35 emergency sanitary sewer repairs, and some water main improvements in these residential areas, which is much appreciated by our residents who have been experiencing flooding problems in those areas for quite some time. We've had some additional emergency repairs. The weather has been a problem for us, as you can see, and this was the North Abbey Road culvert over there by the fire station. This is one of those unexpected expenses that happen to the city of Elyria, but we have to address it. We all take our water for granted, but you shouldn't. We're one of the few cities in Northeast Ohio that actually have our own water plant. We made almost $6 million of improvements to that plant. We've got a very progressive program. We make significant investments in our screens and our pumps. And one of the reasons that the city of Elyria has not had the same problem with frazzle ice as some other communities is because of these investments. So I'm very proud of our performance in this area. And we have a very secure water supply for our community and the communities that we supply water to as well. Cemeteries. Elyria has 3 cemeteries. 2 of them still have room in them. And we made some significant improvements at Brook Dale Cemetery recently, Babyland, was transformed into the Angels Garden, and this was all done largely through private donations. So it's a major improvement. I know this Rotary Club has invested in some improvements to the Edgar Dally Allen historical markers at Ridge Lawn and Plot Fence, and that will be installed in 2015. And then the next major project is the upgrading of the veterans section in Brookdale Cemetery. So if you're a veteran and you know of others who would like to make an investment, we would love to hear from you. These are some of the statistics from our law director's office. Obviously, they're very busy, but prepared 200 pieces of legislation for council, 14,000 traffic cases. Very busy supporting both council and our law enforcement organizations. These are some statistics from our Elyria Police Department. Total calls for service, adult arrests, juvenile arrests, total incidents, officer-initiated calls. Little bit less than last year. These are some of the more serious crimes. And the one thing that I would draw your attention to is burglaries. Burglaries and related crimes are often a result of drug activity, and I would say that the decline in that this year over last year is probably directly attributed to the aggressive approach of our narcotics unit in the city of Elyria. This is some of the activity of our narcotics neighborhood impact unit. You can see the controlled drug buys this year have actually gone up. The good news is we're probably catching more of these. Search warrants are up, arrests, etc. But I would like to have the chief and Captain Costantino make a few remarks about this neighborhood impact, or narcotics and impact unit, because it's so critical to the well-being of our community.
As the mayor mentioned, back in 2011, we were forced to shut down our narcotics unit due to finances. And early 2013, working with the director and the mayor, we were able to reopen the unit. And the statistics that you've seen up there, to me, they're staggering. Part of it is because we didn't have it for 2 years, and part of it because drugs is an ongoing and increasing crime that we deal with every day. It forces us to put more efforts into enforcing the laws and arresting the drug dealers, which takes a lot of effort and a lot of time. Unfortunately, drug dealers don't follow standard schedules, so our units have to work overtime often to cover these things. I can tell you it's been my experience that from what I've seen has been a huge help to every part of the department. I think that's part of the reason why the calls for service are down. And the burglary rate is down. Not only does the narcotics unit hit the drug dealers, but they also help the investigative unit investigate other cases, including burglaries. So we put away known burglars who are often heroin or drug users. We put them in prison and the burglary rate drops. So I can't say enough about the officers on the department as a whole, and the narcotics unit and the investigative unit for the efforts they put in the last 2 years.
Thank you, Chief. Captain, did you want to say something?
I just want to personally thank the mayor and Director Swerka. You know, they've never told me no for anything when I've asked them for help or resources, and that's a huge part of what we're doing, going after these drug traffickers in our community. We're also developing a very strong working relationship with the Lorraine Narcotics Unit and also the county task force, drug task force, to put our resources together to go after these drug traffickers. And we will continue to aggressively pursue them with the manpower that we have and the resources we have. But thank you.
Thank you, Captain. This just as a reminder, you've surely read about it, but July 30th, 2014, the narcotics unit with Lorraine Police Narcotics Unit completed an 18-month investigation, netting the largest single heroin seizure in Lorraine County history. That's the good work that these people are doing. I'd like you to give them a round of applause. We do see a downward trend in motor vehicle crashes, alcohol-related crashes, and there have been 0 alcohol-related fatal crashes. This may be largely because the police department has a grant that actually addresses this on an overtime basis, on a regular basis. So we're looking for people in violation, and it seems to be working. Again, they received the AAA Gold Safety Award, and this is a very prestigious award that reflects the reduction in the number of traffic accidents in the city of Elyria. Our auxiliary services unit does some very good work, over 2,000 hours of service to the city of Elyria, 62 special events, 20 city council meetings. If you're looking for a rewarding second job, we'd love to hear from you. Our Elyria Police Department is continuing with their CALIA accreditation. This is Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies. They're adopting national standards and best practices, and they will be among only 7% of the U.S. who are CALIA accredited. So they're doing this on their own, and we're very proud of that. We've had some challenges in terms of recruitment, and we've made some adjustments in our recruitment program. We have created a lateral transfer pool to allow the city to hire certified police officers, meaning recruit from other communities where the officers are already certified so they don't have to go through all the training. The city lessens the expense to it, and it has resulted in 9 recent hires. Back in October, we started meeting as an organization because we want to beef up our recruitment, not only of all officers, but especially minorities and women. And thanks to the efforts of our police department and also Mr. Gary Dickerson and LaTanya Conley, they are heading up a group with our police department. Almost immediately, they identified a wonderful partner. The city of Akron has stepped forward. They have a very successful recruiting program, and they are actually coming to Elyria to do some training and networking with our officers, and we hope to have that recruitment strategy put in place. But Gary Dickerson and LaTanya, working in unison with our police department, are doing a wonderful job. Our fire department, our total calls for service are down about 11%. Loss by fire is down, and there was a large increase in carbon monoxide calls. There are reasons for this. You may have read about part of this, but EMS call criteria began to change in early 2014. The city, the Elyria Fire Department, in cooperation with University Hospitals Joint Quality Review Board, Life Care Ambulance, and 9/11 gradually began reducing the types of EMS calls that the Elyria Fire Department responds to the most serious life-threatening calls. And this gradual reduction took place as it was consistently documented that Life Care Ambulance was meeting National Fire Protection Agency standards for turnout time of 9 minutes and 90 seconds. And we did end up with a revised contract with Life Care Ambulance, and I think it's been a very positive working relationship. The end result has been that we have been able to reduce our EMS calls to over 500, saving about $100,000 in equipment and costs. The EMS vehicle accidents with injuries are down by 200, and the EMS medical assists are down by almost 300%. So this is an example of the city of Elyria working with our partners and not making a reduction until we were sure that it was appropriate, and everyone's cooperation. And we now have a new contract in place. You can be assured that you are going to be responded to in a timely manner, and that your fire department is working as efficiently, as effectively as it possibly can, and that you will be offered medical services from our fire department under the most serious conditions that we can. So it's a good working relationship with Life Care. It's a good working relationship with 911. It's a good working relationship with university hospitals. I think it's wonderful to note that we have a new quality review board that reviews all of our incidents, and it's a wonderful neutral third-party place where we can all be assured that everything is going the way it should. So we're very pleased with our working relationship with all of our partners, and I think we can be very happy with that. This is an illustration of how some of the EMS calls have been reduced. You can see total EMS calls The blue line is 2013 versus 2014. The EMS vehicle accidents reduction, 2013 and 2014. And then the medical assist for EMS crews, 2013 and 2014. So there's a dramatic decrease, and it's all part of a collaborative working partnership that we've been able to craft. This is some of the other work of the Elyria Fire Department. A lot of community work. I'm going to shift a little bit to neighborhoods now very quickly. Some of you have commented, and I have to say we've got a good working relationship with our county right now and our land bank. Between our neighborhood stabilization program and our county program, we've been able to take down a total of 151 nuisance properties, 43 of which were this year. And this is some of the complaints that our building department has processed. We provided lots of emergency service to our neighborhoods through our emergency stabilization programs and our community block grant dollars. You can see those improvements there. Our block watches continue to be very active with the city of Elyria. They're important partners with our police department. And again, we had a fall safety and health fair, and this was the agenda, but we had a very good turnout for that, keeping our neighborhoods working closely with our police department. Some of those vacant lots, we don't want to see vacant, so we've partnered with our community, and we have 8 community gardens, and you can see the end result of some of those. Instead of seeing lots that have nothing on them or debris, you're seeing gardens spring up, and it's been a very positive experience for our neighborhoods in Elyria. Eventually, we'd like to redevelop those properties with homes on them. We have a program with the Friendship APL and PetSmart. Elyria, if you didn't know, we have a large feral, free roaming, and stray cat problem. And through a grant, we've been able to address this problem by processing 436 cats and kittens. Thank you, Greg. Equal opportunity, you've seen a lot of these activities, the Martin Luther King Holiday Commission, ADA improvements, etc. Our health district continues to provide important services to our community. These are some of the services. Health districts all over, health district is not a department of the city. It is a separate district. So our relationship is we provide general fund funding for it, but it does have a separate board. And health districts in Ohio have been going through transition. They no longer provide clinical services. So if you get sick, you don't go to health district. But they do provide restaurant inspections. They provide services for communicable disease control. And there's a lot of other optional services that health districts provide in all of our communities. And we are taking a look at all of our relationships and our agreements because our health district is very good at what it does. And there's a lot of very capable, caring people, and we're so good at it that other communities have asked us to help them. And we've taken on some of those responsibilities. But because our finances are so strict right now, we are taking a second look at those. Everybody in Elyria will be covered, but there may be some services where we're providing to individuals outside of the city of Elyria that may go to the county. There may be some arrangements where we adjust contracts so that the reimbursement rates are covering our overall costs. Quality of life, our Elyria Parks and Recreation Department, we think quality of life is very important. We want to keep our kids active and out of trouble. We want to keep our seniors active. And this is just a quick snapshot representation of what's happening in your Parks and Recreation Department. You can see the scope of youth programs, 40 youth sports, 43 sessions, adult programs, softball teams, swimming pools serving over 30,000 kids. We did transition to the new Metro Parks Agreement to supervise the operation of Cascade and Eelywood Parks this year. We serve over 1,000 seniors. We do after-school programming, and our ice rink is actually a moneymaker for the city of Elyria. You may not know this, but we host all the state softball tournaments for under 18. It's a huge economic development drawer because it fills up all of our hotels for a week in downtown Elyria. These are some of the activities that have been made possible largely through some of your support. And you can see the scope of it, but just last year we raised over $120,000 to support these activities. And you can see the list. Thank you to anyone on this list. These are companies and organizations that supported our fireworks, and we do provide free summer camps to, this past year, almost 700 kids. I think it was 667. But none of it would be made possible without the support of these companies and organizations. And if you'd like to be one of these companies, we are going to be trying to do these activities again this year. There's a sheet on your table that allows you to check what you might want to support. We would love to embrace your donation because we do think that these activities are important. We were able to bring fireworks back this year because of your generosity. We have the Great American Picnic and Fireworks Show. The keynote sponsors were Bendix and United Initiators, with lots of other support from some of those other donors you just saw. But it was a wonderful time, and I will tell you, we had an estimated 25,000 people show up, and I am so proud to say that we did that without incident. It was, you know, Illyrians were so grateful to have this activity back, that they were on their best behavior, and we really had a lot of fun. Just thousands of people out at West Park, total cooperation, and it was literally a blast. So it's not all budget blues. It was a lot of fun. Again, we were able to we do have a mayor's office on volunteer engagement. We have over 500 volunteers that work with us in the city of Elyria. And in partnership with our parks, 11 community organizations, and 9 funders, we were able to do our free summer camps June through August. Our kids had a lot of fun. I want to thank all of these partners, and many of you are in this room. We take the best programming you have and we combine it with the city of Elyria and our funding sources, and the programs that we put on for these kids are absolutely second to none. I will tell you, they are just absolutely outstanding. Concerts, your money made possible, the Cleveland Pops concert in collaboration with Heroes for Kids of Ohio. It was a really unique experience in combination with Cleveland Pops and superheroes. And we did it because we really wanted to see young families with children enjoy Ely Square and be exposed to classical music in a way that they might not otherwise be exposed to. And it was just a fabulous day. As you can see, people really got into it. And thousands of people showed up for this activity, and it was made possible largely because of your support. Holiday lights, again, we have, because of your support, we have over 250,000 lights in the city of Elyria. Elyria is becoming known for its holiday lights programming, but we've expanded that to City Hall. We opened up City Hall. We've got family-friendly activities in there all day. Free book giveaways, animal farms, you name it, it's there. And every child who comes away with a holiday gift, because we want to make sure that nobody goes through the holiday season without a positive experience in the city of Elyria. And many of you have contributed to that effort. It's just so much fun, and it could not be made possible without your support. We even had a reindeer this year. Did you know there's only 4 reindeer in the state of Ohio to be had? And we got one. So I was pretty excited about that. The next slide, we wanted to do something different, and we're done. But one of the things that I wanted to do is, we all know what this weather's like. And I will tell you, 2 years ago, many of you in this room and some others got together and we said, we want to be a more compassionate city. And I agreed. And some of you have been working with the city to do some things to live up to that. But I will tell you that in this cold weather, one of the biggest challenges we have is there are organizations who are doing fantastic work. Family Promises, Neighborhood Alliance, there's some shelters in Lorraine. But we really have to be mindful of those individuals who don't have the benefit of shelter in this kind of weather. And 2 years ago, I brought a group of people together and said, we aren't doing enough in the city of Elyria to address this. So beginning last year, the city of Elyria and St. Mary Parish joined together, and the city provided the personnel and St. Mary's provided the place. And then when the city kind of got pinched for our finances, I was concerned about that. So I went to Reverend Father Charles Dietrich, and I said, Father Charlie, what are we going to do? I said, we still need the help. And he said, don't worry, Mayor. We'll call you when we need you. We're just going to do this. And he stepped forward. And a lot of us talk about stepping forward, but he stepped forward. And I am just so grateful because even now as we speak, St. Mary's Parish Hall is going to be open to these individuals. But we are going to award the first key to the city of Elyria annual recipient to Reverend Father Charles Dietrich and St. Mary Parish for their compassionate response to their community's needs during severe weather events. The warming shelter really is a beacon of hope and symbol of a true partnership between the city of Elyria and St. Mary's. Some of the individuals that we're serving at this warming shelter are individuals that can't be served anywhere else. They tend to be men. Some of them have felony convictions. They're not being accepted into some of the other areas, and they're kind of falling through the cracks. And he has stepped forward and said they're not going to fall through the cracks in the city of Elyria. And while he and I have been kind of on the road trying to figure out a more permanent solution for this, and we haven't come up with it yet because it is a very complicated and expensive issue, in the interim, he has stepped forward. And he wanted to be here today, but he's ill, and he didn't know I was going to do this. So when he contacted us yesterday and said, I can't come, I'm sick, I didn't tell him why because I knew he'd try to come, and I wanted him to get well. So we do have a plaque for him today. He doesn't know that I'm mentioning this, but he will shortly. And I hope that you'll give him a round of applause because the work he's done has been amazing. And with that work, there's plenty of opportunities for you to volunteer. If you'd like to talk further, Mayor's Night In is the first Thursday of each month. You can visit us on our website, watch us on Channel 12. My door is always open. We're always looking for opportunities to engage, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Mayor, you cited the state audit indicating that the fire department would have 60 frontline firefighters by the end of the year. There was a previous study of the fire department done called the McGrath report that recommended 51 frontline firefighters. Where do you come down on how many the city should have? What should it aim for?
Well, I guess you could look at any report and decide what we should aim for. I will tell you that the McGrath report is now 6 years old, and it did not take into account growth in the part of the city near the Chestnut Commons area with additional residential growth in that area. We have studied this issue, and we do believe that we've significantly reduced by 12. The state auditor, given our current situation with the fire department, recommended 60 with some modifications. And I will say that the modifications in the fire department and our new contract was unanimously passed by Elyria City Council. We do believe that we are taking proactive steps to protect the citizens of the city of Elyria. Chief, did you want to add anything to that?
I think you pretty much covered it, Mayor, but I also would like to remind you that even the McGrath group at City Council admitted that they had some mistakes in their calculation in the staffing section, and that's still available on video if anybody wanted to see the video. It was still an excellent report. There's a lot of opportunities that we took out of the report. I believe they had 51 recommendations. We implemented 39 of those recommendations already. So, like I said, there was a few miscalculations in the human resource section of the report, which threw off the numbers on their staffing recommendation. But I'd be more than happy to go over that more thoroughly with anybody if they wanted to discuss it.
And again, it was a collaborative effort on behalf of our fire department, Elyria City Council, and this administration that 60 be the number. The contract was ratified by all members of Elyria City Council. Any other questions? You sure?
I have a question.
Sure.
Mayor, I just wasn't sure what you meant when you said there's still room in the cemeteries. On behalf of the Elyria Rotary Club and the Lorain County Chamber, it's our tradition at the Rotary Club to present our speaker with a book. Literacy is very important to us. In fact, many Rotarians will be at Hamilton Head Start School next Tuesday to read to students. Mayor, this book is entitled Before and After. Would you sign it for us, please?
That would be my privilege. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we are adjourned.
Why do I have to do all the raking?
Because I'm old, and I said so, and you're closer to the ground.
Shouldn't I be out embracing my youth while I'm still young enough to enjoy it or something?
You should be embracing this rake before it embraces you.
Man, next summer I'm going to one of those reach and rise camps. I guess I'll go get a garbage bag and start picking some of this stuff up.
No, hang on. You don't use a garbage bag for that. Use one of these. They're paper. That's what you're supposed to use for grass and leaves.
Why? What's the difference? They all go to the same place.
No, that's not true. We put grass and leaves in paper bags and take them to the compost facility on Chestnut Street. The bag is made of paper, so it will break down and compost, just like the stuff inside of it. That is good old-fashioned science.
Oh, so is that what you mean when you say you're gonna drag the old bag out to sea all the time? See for chestnut?
Yep.
Wouldn't it be easier just to throw it away with the rest of the trash?
It would be easier, but it also would be wrong. When grass decays, it creates these gases that are no good for anyone, and all it does is take up space.
Like you after Thanksgiving dinner?
Don't sass me. When you compost it, you turn it into something useful. Fertilize it. It lets us put stuff we don't need anymore to good use instead of just throwing it away. That's just common sense.
All right, whatever. Hooray for science. Can I stuff some of these branches in here too?
No, those you bundle up and put on the curb for the city. They have a chipper truck that comes around and grinds it all up.
All right, got it. Leaves and grass go in a paper bag, and branches get bundled onto the curb. If I finish that, can I do something else?
Sure.
Cool.
You can wash my car.
Hey, Ricky, hold on. Wait up.
Oh, hey, Rodney, what's going on?
Well, I was thinking if you're going by the river, maybe you could take this tire.
The river? What are you talking about?
The river? If you take tires and other stuff they don't take in the normal trash down by the river, it magically disappears.
You're not serious right now.
Magic!
First of all, if you take the stuff down to the river to get rid of it, the only thing that's going to magically disappear is money from your wallet. And that's if you're lucky and they don't just haul you off to jail. Ohio Revised Code says that you can be fined up to 25 grand and spend 2 to 4 years in jail for dumping scrap tires illegally.
For what, a couple of tires? Come on.
Tires, paint cans, household waste like bug spray, cleaners, fluorescent bulbs, e-scrap. It all has to be disposed of properly for safety's sake. They're not trying to make more work for you, it's just that it's not good for us and the environment. Think about it like this. They decided that this stuff is so unsafe it can't be kept with the other garbage.
I didn't know that garbage was so picky about the company it kept.
If you get rid of this in a landfill, it's going to eventually end up in the water table. So it'll be in the food you eat and the water you drink. You might as well take this tire, put it in a blender, and drink it.
So what'd you call that? A Michelin julep? No, wait. A gargarita.
Are you done? Because if you're done, we can take this and I'll show you where it actually goes.
Yeah, I'm kidding. Where do we gotta go?
You take this to the Lorain County Solid Waste Collection Center, 540 South Abbey in Elyria. They don't charge you anything, but you do have to get the stuff there yourself. So put your tire in and we'll take you down and I'll show you how to get rid of this stuff safely. There's no magic involved, but they will make your hazardous waste disappear.
No magic at all?
Mostly science, I think.
Science! It'll work.
I'm turning on the radio.